Shri Bhagavanuvacha Bhuya eva mahabhao Shunu me paramam vachaha Yatteham priyamanaya Vakshami ita kamyaya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna, because you are my dear friend, for your benefit I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained." The word Bhagavan is explained thus by Parashara Muni, one who is full in six opulences, who has full strength, full fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation, is Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. While Krishna was present on this earth, he displayed all six opulences. Therefore, great sages like Parashara Muni have all accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Krishna is instructing Arjuna is more confidential knowledge of his opulences and his work. Previously, beginning with the 7th chapter, the Lord has already explained his different energies and how they are acting. Now, in this chapter, he explains his specific opulences to Arjuna. In the previous chapter, he has conviction. Again, in this chapter, he tells Arjuna about his manifestations and various opulences. The more one hears about the Supreme God, the more one becomes fixed in devotional service. One should always hear about the Lord in the association of the devotees that will enhance one's devotional service. Discourses in the society of devotees can take place only among those who are really anxious to be in Krishna consciousness. Others cannot take part in such discourses. The Lord clearly tells Arjuna that because Arjuna is very dear to him, for his benefit, such discourses are taking place.
न मे विदुषुरागणाः प्रभवं न महर्षय अहम् आदिर्हि देवानां महर्षिणां च सर्वशः. Neither the hosts of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of demigods and sages. As stated in Brahma Samhita, Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord. No one is greater than him. He is the cause of all causes. Here it is also stated by the Lord personally that he is the cause of all the demigods and sages. Even the demigods and sages, great sages, cannot understand Krishna. They can understand neither his name nor his personality. So, what is the position of the so-called scholars of this tiny planet? No one can understand why the Supreme God comes to the earth as an ordinary human being and executes such wonderful, uncommon activities. One should know then that scholarship is not the qualification necessary to understand Krishna. Even the demigods, the great sages, have tried to understand Krishna by their mental speculation and they failed to do so. In Srimad Bhagavatam, also, it is clearly stated that even the great demigods are not able to understand Supreme Personality of Godhead. They can speculate to the limits of their imperfect senses and can reach the opposite conclusion of impersonalism, of something not manifested by the three qualities of material nature, or they can imagine something by mental speculation. But it is not possible to understand Krishna by such foolish speculation. Here the Lord indirectly says that if anyone wants to know the absolute truth, here I am present as the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. I am the Supreme. One should know this. Although one cannot understand the inconceivable Lord who is personally present, he nonetheless exists. We can actually understand Krishna who is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge simply by studying his words in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. The conception of God as some ruling power or as the impersonal Brahman can be reached by persons who are in the interior energy of the Lord. But The personality of Godhead cannot be conceived unless one is in the transcendental position. Because most men cannot understand Krishna in his actual situation, out of his causeless mercy, he descends to show favor to such speculators. Yet, despite the Supreme Lord's uncommon activities, these speculators, due to contamination in the material energy, still think that the impersonal Brahman is the Supreme. Only the devotees who are fully surrendered unto the Supreme Lord can understand by the grace of Supreme Personality that he is Krishna. The devotees of the Lord do not bother about impersonal Brahman, conception of God. Their faith and devotion bring them to surrender immediately to the Supreme Lord, and out of causeless mercy of Krishna, they can understand Krishna. No one else can understand him, so even great sages agree. What is Atma? What is the Supreme? It is he whom we have to worship. Hare Krishna.
Yo mamajam, yo mamaja manadim cha veti lokamaheshwaram asmudhassa
Asamuda.
असमूढसमर्थ्येषु सर्वपापैः प्रमुच्यते. He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the supreme Lord of all the worlds, the only undeluded amongst men, is freed from all sins. Purpose. As stated in the 7th chapter 7.3, Manusyanam Sahasreshu Kaschet Yatati Siddhaye. Those who are trying to elevate themselves to the platform of spiritual realization are not ordinary men. They are superior to millions and millions of ordinary men. One,
Who have no knowledge of spiritual realization.
ordinary men who have no knowledge of spiritual realization. But one of those, out of those actually trying to understand their spiritual situation, one who can come to understand the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the proprietor of everything, the unborn, is the most successful spiritually realized person in that stage only. When one has fully understood Krishna's supreme position, can one be free completely from all sinful reactions. Here the Lord is described by the word Aja, means unborn, but he is distinct from the living entities who are described in the 2nd chapter as Aja. The Lord is different from the living entities who are taking birth and dying due to material attachment. The conditioned souls are changing their bodies, but his body is not changeable. Even when he comes to this material world, he comes as the same unborn. Therefore, in the 4th chapter, it is said that the Lord, by his internal potency, is not under the inferior material energy, but is always in the superior energy. In this verse, the words Veti Loka Maheshwaram indicate that one should know that Lord Krishna is the supreme proprietor of the planetary systems of the universe. He was existing before the creation, and he is different from his creation. All the demigods were created within this material world. But as far as Krishna is concerned, it is said that he is not created. Therefore, Krishna is different even from the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva. And because he is the supreme creator of Brahma, Shiva, and all other demigods, he is the supreme person of all planets.